Hello and welcome to Towards a Better India. In this video, I want to talk about the BRT or the Bus Rapid Transit System in Delhi, which was attempted more like a sort of an experiment, you can say, based on similar systems which we've seen in markets like Latin America, specifically in cities like Curitiba in Brazil, which have similar systems in place, which have done fairly well. In fact, I would say very well, where the probably the entire public transport system has in many ways changed for the better. But unfortunately, when we see in Delhi that the BRT has not really worked as it was forethought by the planners, by the Delhi government. So the point that I'm trying to make is that as of now, the CRRI, or the Central Road Research Institute, has actually recommended that the BRT be scrapped, and that eventually we continue with what is known as mixed usage traffic, which means that all vehicles can essentially use the road sort of uniformly. There's no need for a dedicated lane for buses, a separate lane for, say, cars and other vehicles. Reason what's happening is that invariably the bus lane remains more or less free, because the buses come and go and they have their dedicated lane. But then, because the remaining lane or lanes are meant for all other vehicles, and in Delhi you invariably have a lot of other vehicles, those lanes are jam packed, and there's so much of traffic. Especially if you look at the Chiragdali crossing, it becomes, I mean, terrible. It absolutely terrible. Whether you're coming from, say, Saket onto CRRI towards Mulchand, or if you're going from Mulchand onto that side via CRRI, that entire Chiragdali section becomes extremely crowded, and that's entirely because the lane which is meant for all other vehicles is so full. There are so many vehicles, and because it's so narrow, there's hardly any space, so there's like a big backlog of vehicles. That can be entirely avoided if you have more of the road which is free and which is available. What here specifically what they've done is, not only have they segregated the lanes, they've actually made dividers which have ensured that the bus lane, even if it's available, it's free, cannot be used under any circumstances. Those same dividers have in fact also proved dangerous, hazardous. There are certain bikers who've actually had accidents, they've lost their lives. So I mean, because the warning systems are not really in place, the lights are not all that good. Often in the night, especially in winter and foggy conditions, you can't even see those dividers. Ultimately, and often what happens is that because of these dividers, say a vehicle which is broken down anywhere in the lane, all other vehicles at the back, they are also stuck, because they can't come out. If the divider wasn't there, at least they could come out, go on to another lane. But right now, even that is such a challenge. Overall, BRT, at least for me, I've used it, doesn't make any sense at all. The Delhi government should not, what the Delhi government has said is that it will probably move Supreme Court, because CRRI has actually submitted its recommendation to the Delhi High Court, and the High Court is considering the recommendation that probably mixed usage traffic is better. And I feel the Delhi government is probably doesn't want to, it feels that so much has already been invested. I just feel that okay, you've invested a lot of money, but at least let's not waste any more money, because already, if you look at in terms of wastage, there's so much of time which is wasted. So many Delhiites have to plan so much accordingly. So much of fuel is wasted along the corridor because you're stuck in traffic. All of this can be saved, and over time, obviously, benefits will accrue to everyone. And in fact, CRRI's research suggests that going ahead up to 2015-20, it is mixed usage traffic where there is no dedicated lane per se, but the entire space is available for all vehicles, will prove to be better. So therefore, in conclusion, I would say that let's please go ahead with the CRRI recommendations, and let's scrap the BRT altogether. Cheers.